Epilogue. Ricky, Calm, and Whitepaw. For we know that the whole creation groans and labors with birth pangs all together until now. Romans 8:22. It's actually with birth pangs together until now. I don't know why I said all together. I'm not going to read it again. You get the idea. Anyway, epilogue. It only took 3 years or so for Ricky to make $35 million US. It almost seemed supernatural, and given his new spiritual lease on life, perhaps some quotient of it was. He would pray over these things and ask for signs, and was learning to discern between his gut and what supernatural things drove his psyche. Many dark web criminals were known to the FBI when Ricky worked there, but only some could be taken care of, because that wouldn't give away the FBI's presence on the dark web. But Ricky knew where all the skeletons were buried and how to find them. Ed's activity with the gang house, and how lucrative it was, were indeed motivators for Ricky as well. So it was that, using the coordinates on the map Ethan had derived from the Mandelbrot set, training with his kitten Papadam, and combining all these things with his knowledge of traffickers in India, Ricky was able to totally sink a few black market operations. This wasn't his first choice at wealth generation, but it was the fastest legitimate route to large gains. Still, it was risky. The net result was very good. Often, it influenced rivaling groups to claw at one another's throats, and the losses either party sustained would abridge the abuse of the vulnerable, if only for a time. It was a reprieve that would not come through bureaucratic government proceedings. Surely, trafficking of humans was an industry enabled by crooked bureaucratic systems. So, they had a built-in prerogative to obstruct, in many cases. Whether this was theft in the classical sense or retribution at the hands of gods, Ricky teleporting in and out of varying situations, this was a question Ricky found himself asking regularly. Accordingly, he would not totally define his financial expansion through such tactics. What he did was get into real estate and start building an ample portfolio through a false alias he secured in India. With time dilation and Papadam the cat as a partner, he was able to watch market ups and downs over longer periods of time faster, age slower, and simultaneously realize increase on his investments more quickly. It took Ricky about 3 years, starting with a seed of around $5 million US stolen from human traffickers in India, to accumulate $35 million in US currency. He had blended into his home country, and in his time of investment, had not gotten into trouble with Aikmen, or any of those coming after him from the spiritual side of things. He attended a church regularly, and had become diligent about devotions. It must be said this was a secret church, and was not technically allowed by the government. However, the most diligent of fascist governments is basically incompetent. They reward stupidity and corruption. So, such individuals people its ranks. Stupidity can be a harsh oppressor, for it cannot comprehend empathy. The church was underground, but those who needed Christ could still find him, despite the rigors of ignorant oppressors. Idiot bastards, as Ed might have said. Ricky did, however, take time out for a cocktail here or there. And so it was that the man found him reading a book without his cat in one of the better bars on the north side of town. There was an American television personality saying, "Well, you know, after saving so many people with his mRNA vaccine, it makes sense to me Steve Gates would need a break from the public eye. But it's been almost 3 years, Michael. You don't think that's a little suspicious?" "Always popped up here or there. You just don't remember," the TV personality said, and they continued bickering. Ricky mumbled to himself, "If they do see him, I wonder if it will even be the guy." "I doubt that very much," a voice answered in English. Ricky looked up fast and didn't even realize his hand went to his sidearm. The voice belonged to a man with a wide smile and a white sports jacket, wearing a straw hat and aviator sunglasses. Ricky said, "You're going to melt of sweat in that thing. What are you trying to do?" "Word on the street is you're trying to buy a nuclear bunker, retrofitted, of course. More of an underground condo these days." Ricky's hand gripped the sidearm tighter under the table. "Where is that word coming from?" Good guys, mostly. Here. The man slid him a card. It said, Codified Anthropological Logistics Management. And in large letters, the acronym was spelled out. The card looked like paper, but was some sort of metal. Ricky squinted at it. Calm? Well, it ain't clam, I'll tell you that, said the man. Turn the card over. Ricky turned the card over, and he saw the name Raj. He looked up. Raj. But you're white as a sandwich. Ha! Short for Roger, but I spell it R-A-J-J-Y-R. This is the stupidest thing I've heard in my entire career. The accent came out thick. Sure it is, but it scuttles the algorithms. Listen, Clever Ed sent me. How else do you think I found you? Calm. It's been around a while. God, angels, saints, they handle most of the stuff, you know, the real stuff. It's those little things you do, Ricky. Those little things like letting the neighbor talk to you when you're about wore out, or keeping your house clean, or maybe tipping the waitress. Those little acts of goodwill. Billions of people doing little acts of goodwill. It's got a profound impact, Ricky. Keeps the dark at bay. Remember Tolkien? He said that. Only he said it better. The man made paintings out of words. But see, there's this other side of it. Remember Dick? What? Philip K. Dick, the author. Oh yes, perhaps you could have phrased that better. Well, he had a guy in that Scanner Darkly book. Bumped his head, got a divorce. A tiny, stupid little bad thing at the right time totally threw him off course. Billions of little things like that happen all the time, too. There's a metaphysical physics to it all, Ricky. You came out the other side. So did Clever Ed and Carl and Ethan and so many others. The world's changing. The nature of reality, it's getting shifted, Ricky. Imagine a computer that can understand how to distribute all those little acts of goodwill. Quantum devices are doing it. So, the Ache Boys and their kind, what do? They bust the world. They leave us all hurting, Ricky. I want to partner with you. Let me tell you, I'll match you on that 35 mil. And we'll make that silo more than just some crazy crash pad. It'll be a center of operations. What do you say to that? Ricky took a breath and blinked at Raj. He looked at the card again and was about to speak, but then had another thought. I get how you found where I am. How did you know I want to buy the silo? I've only told the cat. Raj took off his sunglasses, and his eyes shone like the sun for an instant before he put them back on. Who says I'm just a regular old carbon and water fella? Who says that, Ricky? Do you say that? I am not saying anything right now. How about it? You ready to calm the ache, Ricky? And Raj extended his hand. There once was an island in the sky, and White Paw was the first cat to find it. He ran in and out of the breathing place where water told him the meaning of the songs of birds, and he never grew hungry. Napping was optional. There were dangers, great beasts, dire tigers, men with eyes of black, creatures with bodies of gray, strange shapes in the sky, and bees like mountains. But there were golden people as well, and they who brought a different sort of terror, the kind one feels when caught in the act of something sneaky. And there were fine napping places, ample areas of cover, huge trees, and a particular canyon full of elf-like people who were always delighted to play with him and were of a similar size. White Paw was quite satisfied with his time in the world between worlds. But a cat can only handle so much heaven. So White Paw became restless and climbed here and there and looked where he could and snuck where he was able to sneak and eventually laid eyes on something that he could not forget. It was a cloud that had a shape like an inverted volcano from which came other clouds. White Paw was on a wide branch high in the sky, chattering at it, when his eyes divined a point where it would pass very close by the great purple and gold tree. So he shifted several times, at last puking, and then jumping atop the island in the sky as it passed slowly by, stopping to lick himself with humility as the structure drifted lazily through the clouds. For quite a while, White Paw was satisfied with this discovery, but eventually the restlessness manifested yet again. He returned to the dangerous place, where hunger pains reigned, and the growling creatures that belched smoke from their back ends and had strange spinning legs would run you over if you were not careful. But White Paw knew where there were quiet, safe enclaves, and he knew where the other cats did congregate. And so he made his way there, to the island with the respectful people, where there were only several fishers. White Paw walked the island a while before finding a place to nap off in the brush. The strangest thing happened, though. A woman, a young Japanese woman, followed him. She'd seen his entry. At first, White Paw wanted to run. And then he noticed a fragrance in the air and saw in her hand a bit of jerky, just the type he remembered from his kittenhood. He trotted up and accepted the jerky, rewarding her with a purr. She made noises at him for a while and pointed at things. Then he finally grew tired of her and opened to fish her. When she came through behind him, White Paw decided he would allow it. The end.